A picture may no longer be worth 1,000 words.
In a world where competition is fierce, branding and marketing have become increasingly more important.
Hello, I am Macintosh.
Adobe recognized this early on,
This is a product that we are very, very excited about.
and with the release of Illustrator in 1987 and Photoshop in 1990, the American multinational company revolutionized the graphic design industry.
The computer is a wonderful tool for graphic artists, and I wouldn't live without it.
But as the company grew, so did its exclusivity. With time, programs became increasingly sophisticated, more expensive, and ultimately out of reach for thousands of aspiring entrepreneurs or creatives looking to start their own companies or become professional graphic designers.
They were just so complex to learn and difficult to use.
Frustrated by Adobe's monopoly, a little-known 19-year-old Australian woman vowed to change the industry's status quo.
And so I realised that in the future design would be entirely different. It would all be online and collaborative and really simple.
What started as a naive endeavour has become a $40 billion empire, expanding and growing with each passing day.
Melanie is one of the country's most successful businesswomen. Her company, Canva.
Canva.
This is the story of how Melanie Perkins created Canva. Born in 1987 in Perth, Australia, Melanie Perkins grew up in a hard-working, multicultural family. Her father, a Malaysian engineer who specialised in electrical systems, and her mother, an Australian schoolteacher who coordinated school yearbooks, instilled in her a strong work ethic and adventurous spirit. Yet unlike her parents, Melanie was never comfortable with the idea of becoming an employee. Instead, she naturally gravitated towards entrepreneurship and the freedom that comes with working on her own terms. At the age of 14, she launched her first venture, selling handmade scarves to classmates in school. By the time she started studying communications, psychology and commerce at the University of Western Australia, Melanie couldn't help but find a new problem to solve. In her second year of college, she decided to teach her colleagues how to use complex graphic design programs in exchange for an hourly fee.
I was teaching people how to use design programs, so Photoshop and InDesign.
During these sessions, Melanie noticed the same recurring frustrations in her students.
They were just so complex to learn and difficult to use.
Although everyone could learn how to use social media platforms like Facebook in a day, mastering professional design software took months of struggle, and the results were often mediocre at best.
And so I realised that in the future design would be entirely different. It would all be online and collaborative and really simple. That was really where the idea for Canva was born.
At only 19 years old, Melanie had found the problem she wanted to dedicate her entire life to solving. With Canva, she envisioned a world where anyone could become a graphic designer through free, online, collaborative, and easy-to-use graphic design tools. Yet Melanie also knew how to manage her expectations. She understood that her vision was extremely broad, expensive, and not a feasible business to start her career with. Inspired by her mother's work together with her boyfriend Cliff Obrecht, they came up with the concept for Fusion Years Books, a niche business that aimed to sell drag-and-drop software for creating and printing school yearbooks. After pitching the idea to both of their families, the couple raised over $50,000 to hire software engineers in Perth. In late 2007, they launched with results that shocked everyone involved. Despite being based in Melanie's parents' living room, Fusion Books secured 16 clients by the end of the year and rapidly became a profitable business. Yet similar to her first entrepreneurial venture, one small detail gave Melanie more happiness and inspiration than all the money she was making. The vast majority of her clients repeatedly asked her if they could use her software to create designs beyond yearbooks. Even if this was a simple question, it proved that there was an existing demand in the market for a product like Canva. Yet as the company grew, Melanie was forced to make the first big decision in her life. Things had scaled way more than expected, so she could no longer manage Fusion yearbooks. work on her vision for Canva, and keep studying at university. Melanie had to decide whether she truly wanted to dedicate her life to her vision or stay within the comforts of a university education. In 2010, 3 years after dropping out of university, Melanie and Cliff had scaled Fusion Books to over 400 clients across Australia, New Zealand, and France. Their success allowed the couple to take higher risks and shift their focus to finding investors for Canva. However, one obstacle stopped them from taking the next step forward: the amount of capital that had to be raised to make Canva a reality. After doing all the math, the couple calculated that they needed at least $3 million to finance their vision. Not only was this a lot of money, but it was even harder to find such investment in Australia. Melanie and Cliff had to find a way to contact investors in the United States. Fortunately, Melanie found out that a prominent Silicon Valley venture capitalist named Bill Tai was going to speak at a business conference in Perth later that year. Acknowledging that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Melanie used the network she had built with Fusion to find someone who could introduce her to Bill on the day of his talk. The plan worked flawlessly. After cornering Bill in a hallway at the event, she pitched her idea and vision of Canva in a 5-minute conversation. Quite surprisingly, Tai was impressed by her enthusiasm and keen to explore her idea further. As a result, he gave her his personal email address and encouraged her to reach out if she ever visited Silicon Valley.
You got mail.
After 3 years of hard work, Melanie and Cliff finally found the opportunity they had been looking for. But to seize it, they had to split their roles. Melanie would head to San Francisco to find investment from Tai, while Cliff stayed in Australia, managing and expanding Fusion Years Books. After her 3-month visa was finally approved in 2011, Melanie travelled to the US in a race against time to meet up with Bill in a cafe and convince him to invest in Canva.
He was very unattentive. He didn't seem to be interested at all. He was on his phone. And I was oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. I have completely flopped. And but I went back and he'd messaged me and he said that he'd be happy to invest if I could find a tech team.
Bill also introduced Melanie to Lars Rasmussen, the co-founder of Google Maps. Tai trusted Lars fully when it came to managing a tech team and thought he would be interested in becoming an advisor on the project. The very next day, Melanie met Lars in Palo Alto to discuss her vision. The conversation went better than expected. Not only did they get along really well, but they also shared the same vision for the future of publishing and graphic design. After the talk was over, Lars accepted the role as the advisor of Canva and narrowed Melanie's goal into one single stepping stone. If she could find a tech team that he approved of, Bill Tai would invest in Canva, and they would be on their way to creating a huge company. Determined, Melanie used her remaining time in San Francisco to reach out to anyone she thought could join her team. Despite her introverted nature, she began networking tirelessly, pitching her idea to engineers, developers, and even people she met on public transport. But rejection followed rejection, and soon her visa expired. Forced to leave San Francisco, Melanie returned to Perth without the tech team nor the investment she needed. All the people she presented to Lars were denied, as he was looking only for world-class talent. Although disheartened on the flight home, she was being too hard on herself. During the 3 months in San Francisco, Melanie had made valuable connections, learned about the world of venture capital, and refined her pitch deck for future opportunities. A few months after returning to Australia, when all hope seemed lost, Melanie received an email from Bill Tai that completely changed the trajectory of her entrepreneurial career. He invited Melanie and Cliff to Mai Tai, a 3-day networking event in Hawaii where over 200 entrepreneurs and investors from around the world got together to do kitesurfing during the day and network during the evenings. In a surprising turn, Melanie and Cliff immediately learned how to kitesurf and attended the event, hoping to find other investors among the guests. Most people they talked to said they would be willing to invest if someone else in their network did it first. If only they could find a tech team, Bill Tai would be that person, and a domino effect worth millions would follow. Melanie returned to San Francisco with only 7 weeks left on her second visa. This time, however, Cliff was by her side. At this point, Fusion Yearbooks was successful enough to be run by their team without their constant input. Now that they were so close to reaching their goal, they had to work together to find the last piece of the puzzle. Fortunately, just a few weeks after settling down in Silicon Valley, a breakthrough came in the most unexpected way. A former Google engineer, Cameron Adams, was Googling ways to make a simple pitch deck online. When he got the results, Canva's white paper showed up. After reading about the project, he contacted his friend, Lars, who appeared as the advisor. Cameron and Lars had collaborated in Google Waves before, so they trusted each other in their business decisions. As a result, Lars offered Cameron the opportunity to meet with Melanie to discuss the possibility of him leading the tech team at Canva. Melanie accomplished what seemed impossible for years. In a long and positive meeting, Cameron agreed to join Canva as a co-founder and to lead the tech team. He also convinced his ex-colleague from Google, Dave Herndon, to join the project with a leading role in his tech team. As news spread about Adams and Herndon joining the project, Canva was finally discussed at the heart of Silicon Valley. Hundreds of investors from the Maui trip and beyond wanted to invest in the project. Years of hard work had finally paid off in just a few days. The fear of missing out on Canva led to such a strong interest from investors that Melanie and Cliff had to create a waitlist to receive funding in exchange for a share in the company. By the end of the investment round in late 2012, they had secured $1.6 million from investors and $1.4 million from the Australian government, who wanted to keep the company on Australian shores, finally reaching the desired $3 million to make Canva a reality. Since launching in 2013, Canva has transformed how millions of people express themselves creatively. What began as a simple drag and drop tool has expanded into a feature-rich service that offers customizable templates for various design needs, advanced photo and video editing capabilities, collaboration tools for teams, and an extensive library of design elements. With over 180 million users in 2024, Canva is now valued at over $40 billion and stands as a powerful and accessible alternative to Adobe. This makes Melanie Perkins one of the richest self-made women in history. In the end, Melanie solved the problem that sparked Canva's journey. Her vision and relentless dedication proved that a single idea, nurtured with passion and perseverance, can revolutionize any industry. Today, thanks to Melanie and Cliff, millions of entrepreneurs, designers, and everyday creators have the tools to turn their ideas into high-quality designs and thriving ventures.